Vishnupada Parhamsakacharya Ashtottara Srimad Abhay Charanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the morning Bhagavatam class, and we are reading from the Canto 3, chapter 25, the glories of devotional service, and the text number is 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading text 15. Please repeat with me. Cheta kalva asya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam vapumsi muktaye cheta kalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam vapumsi muktaye cheta kalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam vapumsi muktaye. Prabhuji. Cheto kalavasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam vapumsi muktaye. Chetava kalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam vapumsi muktaye. Cheta kalau asya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam vapumsi muktaye. Mataji. Cheta kalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam vapumsi muktaye. Cheta kalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam vapumsi muktaye. So word to word meaning. Chetha, consciousness. Khalu, indeed. Asya, of him. Bandhaya, for bondage. Muktaye, for liberation. cha and atmana of the living entity. Matam is considered guneshu in the three modes of nature. Saktam attracted, bandhaya for conditional life, ratham attached, va or pumsi in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, muktaye for liberation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, please repeat with me. The stage in which the consciousness of the living entity is attracted by the three modes of material nature is called conditioned life. But when that same consciousness is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is situated in the consciousness of liberation. Purport, please listen. There is a distinction here between Krishna consciousness and Maya consciousness. Guneshu or Maya consciousness involves attachment to the three material modes of nature, under which one works sometimes in goodness and knowledge, sometimes in passion and sometimes in ignorance. These different qualities, activities with the central attachment for the material enjoyment are the cause of one's conditioned life. When the same Cheta or consciousness is transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or when one becomes Krishna conscious, he is on the path of liberation. Let's Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha krupa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome once again. So we are continuing with the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, Text 15. So far we have discussed from last few verses. We discussed about the Karda Muni left for the forest, and then Devahuti took the shelter of Kapila Muni, and she herself submissively surrendered to the Kapila Muni and started inquiring, and she was requesting Kapila Muni to remove her ignorance and get her liberation. So this is what we discussed, and yesterday's verse also it was mentioned. Says Kapila Muni started speaking. The knowledge which the Sankhya Yoga, which he started speaking, it's not new. Previously it was imparted to many sages, and the same thing he is revealing to the Devahuti as well. So in this today's verse, he started describing about this material nature. So when we see this translation and purport, from this we can clearly see that this whole material world, in the living entities in this material world, is classified in two categories. One who is constantly working under the three modes of material nature. And the second one, they are coming out of the effect of material modes and they are surrendering to Supreme Personality of God. They are in the consciousness of Krishna. So these are broadly the two categories this translation and purport is revealing. So when we try to see though it's a 3-4 lines, it is clearly summarized, the nature of the living entities in this material world. But when we analyze it, taking the shelter of Krishna, surrendering to Krishna, doing the devotional service to Krishna continuously, it's not an easy thing. Because when we entered into this material world, the three modes of material nature, Sattva, Rajas and Tama, mode of goodness, mode of passion and mode of ignorance, these things will constantly working on every living entity. So nobody is exception to this material entity. Only possibility is you should try to come out of these modes. Like we can see some material examples. There is a fire. When you put your finger or hand in the fire, it burns. Whether you know or we don't know, the effect is same. Fire's nature is it will burn your finger. Similarly, if you have a big swimming pool or the big river, when you jump into the water, you will be drowning. Unless you know swimming and you try to come out, otherwise you will be drowning. These are the material examples we can see. This material world is like that. When you enter into this material world, these three modes of material nature, goodness, passion and ignorance, constantly working on every living entity. Only possibility is you should try to come out of this modes, effect of modes, then only you will be surviving. Now, we know the one famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapajyate Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So this verse, it was mentioned, Krishna is saying, Bahunam Janmanamante, after taking so many births, millions of births, Jnanavan Mam Prapajyate, the living entity will get a chance to know the knowledge. What is that knowledge? Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Krishna is everything and surrendering to Krishna. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such person is very rare. Very few people will have, after taking so many births in this material world, only few living entities will get an opportunity to understand the knowledge. Krishna is everything and surrendering to Krishna is the only purpose of the life. Only few people will get this knowledge. Then what about the rest? What are they doing? They are constantly, because they are under the control of the three modes of material nature in the material world, they are constantly taking repeated birth and death. They will, because of these three modes of material nature, they are constantly doing various activities and that causing them bondage to this material world. These modes modes is like nothing like a rope. That's what Prabhupada was explaining in many of his lectures. These ropes can be considered as these gunas, these modes can be considered as ropes. It will tie up to this material world. The more you attach to these gunas, the more you will be entangled, the more you will be binding to this material world. So, those who are having the fortunate, they will get the knowledge, and they will be surrendering to Krishna. But the other people, they will be repeatedly taking the birth and death due to this material modes constantly working. And we also took another verse, like the last week also we referred this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Brahmande Brahmite Kone Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhaktilata Bija, right? So we can compare these two and can understand more how the material. See here in the first verse, the Bahunam Janmanamante is there. Here it is said Brahmande Brahmite Kore. In the material universe, we have various planets, 14 planets. The top one is heavenly planets, middle one is earth planet, and the bottom one is hellish planets. When Brahmande Brahmite Kore, you are roaming from top to bottom. How? Same thing, like Bahunam Janmanamante. You are taking repeated birth and death. Why it is happening? The modes. Like if you see, if your mode of goodness is constantly associated, then you will take birth in the heavenly planets. And if the mode of ignorance is there, you will be taking birth in the hellish planets. And when mode of passion is there, you will be taking birth in the earth planet. So this is how we can compare these two. When the modes are acting continuously, you will be Brahmande Brahmita. You will keep on rotating. And there is Bhagyavan Jiva. Only few Jivas are Bhagyavan when they get associated to the spiritual master by mercy of Krishna. And when that happens, what happens? The Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of Bhakti will be planted. Right? So when the Bhakti Bij is planted, when we do devotional service, when we reach a final stage where, when we understand Krishna is the everything, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, that we will get to know. Otherwise, you will be constantly working under the modes of material nature. You will not be able to come out of this. This is how we can understand how these material modes constantly interacting and influencing us. And I was reading this Chaitanya, His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu Gita daily. He was explaining these modes with two beautiful material examples. He was explaining, like we all know the television or the monitor display, right? It displays various images. The underlying technology is the pixels. The various pixels will be displayed on the screen. Whatever image you see is the combination of all the pixels. But those pixels, basically it has only 3 colors: red, green, blue, RGB. These combination of colors display various images on the screen, various pictures on the television screen, right? Same thing, this material world is a combination of these 3 modes. These 3 modes constitute all your experience in this material world. So this is an analogy very nicely explained by the Prabhu Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So, and other one he gives, these material modes will influence how you interact with the various material objects. So in this material world, we try to engage our senses in getting the pleasure from various sense objects. We try to see beautiful pictures. We try to do various activities. So using our acquiring senses, we try to interact with the various objects and get the pleasure. How the material modes will impact here, that is also we can understand here. So there are 3 steps. Whenever you interacting with the material objects in this material world, there are 3 different stages. First one is perceiving. You will see the object first thing. When you see certain things, then your mind starts processing. Okay, what is this? How it is looking? Then after first you perceive, then your mind takes the data and process, and the third one is perceive. What would be your reaction to that after seeing this object? This is how our mind, our material living entity works in this material. Now, how this will be influenced, this process is influenced by 3 modes of material nature. That also we can understand. Suppose you are watching let's take some sports example. Let's assume that some Olympic is happening. Some athletes are performing, and one of the athletes is doing the 100-meter sprinting, and he sets the world record. Let's see. So suppose if a person who is in the mode of goodness is watching, how first same the process, he will perceive, he will see with his senses. Then mind will process, okay, what was the previous record? What is the current record? And then reaction. If he is in mode of goodness, what he will simply enjoy. He will clap it. Or he will feel happy. Suppose if that sprinter is his favorite athlete, then he will be feeling very happy. And he will share the message to other people. Or he will be jumping and expressing his happiness in various forms. That is how, when the mode of goodness is working, it is how it is influencing the way you see the things. Let's say, mode of passion, you are in the mode of passion. What will happen? Same thing, take the same example. You are watching 100-meter sprinting in the Olympics. Usain Bolt is ready for, and you saw that he set the world record. It was 9.58 seconds something. So you see that. Then your mind will process. Suppose if your mode of passion is there, then what you see? Okay, what is how he is getting this record? How he is able to establish this record? How he is practicing? What kind of fitness activities he is doing? What kind of dietary things he is following? So then the desire will come. Since you are mode of passion, you think, okay, how can I also do this kind of record? Can I achieve such things? Then you start thinking. The same event, but the person in mode of goodness is thinking one way. The person in mode of passion thinks that, okay, why can't I achieve this? I should also do. Then he will keep on analyzing. Okay, he wakes up in the morning. He does 3 to 4 hours of fitness and for 1 hour gym. And his dietary is very strict. And he will have so much disciplined life he is following. So then he will think that, okay, then your action starts. You will also think that, okay, if I have to establish this record, I have to do these all things, right? This is how the modes will influence. If you are in the mode of passion, you will think like. Now, let's come back to the mode of ignorance. Same event you take. If the person is sprinting, again Usain Bolt is ready and he's watching that. He sees that, okay, he sets the world record. And then you start thinking, okay, what is he doing? What are the same effort? How much effort he is spending? What are the activities he is doing to achieve? Then he understands that, okay, he wakes up in the morning. He does 3 to 4 hours of gym or fitness. And he does various, dietary is very strict. Then he thinks that he's in the mode of ignorance. No, this is not my job. I can't do this. I can't wake up in the morning. I don't have a very disciplined life. He can't have a disciplined life because he's under mode of ignorance, right? So he doesn't want to do all those things. This is how. The same thing, how you see, how you interact with the material objects, that will be influenced by the modes of material nature. These things will be constantly working on everyone, each and every person in this material world, and that will be influencing how you are dealing with various sense objects, how you are in material objects. So now the next we can understand why people are suffering with these three modes of material nature. Why the people are, like in the current generation, if you see, many people are doing so many bad activities. So because all these material modes are constantly working, they are exhibiting these characteristics. But we can understand one thing, one verse it is, in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the Prabhupada was explaining many purports, he was explaining underlying reason why these modes people are not able to come out of. If you have to behave properly, you have to come out of these material modes. But still, people are not able to come out of these material modes. One of the reasons Prabhupada was explaining in the purports of 14th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, like there's a verse like, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya, Namo Namaha. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. So, in order to advance, any civilization has to advance, then it has to, the two things they have to consider, Brahmana and cows. These are the very important things every civilization has to respect. Every civilization, every person in the material world has to respect. But in the current world, what is happening? The cows are being sent to slaughterhouse. And the Brahmanas, no respect to Brahmanas. How many people are following? The Brahmana is the head of the society. He gives spiritual knowledge to living entities in the society, right? So, but how many people are approaching Brahmana? How many people are respecting Brahmana? How many people are following the instructions of Brahmana? That's not. So, the society is completely deviated from these cows and Brahmanas. Because of that, people are entangled in this material world, constantly working under the modes of material nature, and they are not able to come out of this material modes, three modes of material nature. And next thing, again, see, we are analyzing how these material modes impacting. We saw the multiple examples. And other thing, like one more material example we can see to understand how these material modes are acting. So in our society, people will say freedom. Freedom is the big thing in this material world. Everybody wanted to have a freedom. Like if a person is completed his education, he started doing a job. So he will earn money. So with that money, he thinks that he has a freedom to do whatever he wants, right? So after some few years of work, he will get with his money. So his money, he can do whatever he wanted, right? So he will buy a car. He will have a bungalow. Or so many other material facilities he will acquire. Nothing wrong in that. So he will acquire. Then after that, he will start thinking, okay, after 4 or 5 years of job, he thinks that, okay, I got everything, whatever I wanted. Let me do more. Let me try to achieve more. Then he thinks that the desire will come. Then what he will think? Since he thinks that he's independent, he's free, having full freedom, whatever he wanted, he can do. Then what he does? So he wanted to start his own company. He wanted to create so much wealth. He wanted to give employment to many other people. That kind of thinking will come. Because it's a freedom. He can do anything. Nobody is there to put constraint on him. So he does. For that, he works hard. He tries to achieve. So when we see the material perspective, same, this is like a freedom. But when we see this through our Shastra, when we through the eyes of Shastra, Shastra Chakshu, when we can understand the underlying reason. Is it really having a freedom? Let's see what the modes are like, because as we understand, these three modes of material nature constantly working. So what is happening, once you got a particular settled in your life, you are getting higher desires. Like desire is coming to achieve more in your life. That is the desire, desire is coming due to the passion mode. The mode of passion is constantly working. Because of that, you are getting the desire to achieve more. But when you see the material, oh, I am having full freedom, I can do whatever I want. But you are not having the freedom. The modes of passion is constantly working. That is creating this desire inside you. And because of that, you are working. That is not freedom. But we think that the conditioned nature, we think it is a freedom. Similarly, the student who is coming out of the high school and is joining the university, there is a high chance that he get attracted towards various other things like drugs, alcohol, everything. Because as per the rules in the country, after 18 years, you are independent. You can do whatever you want, right? So they will be thinking that, okay, I am free, I can do, nobody can put any restriction on me, I can follow any path, right? Then he will be addicted towards intoxication. Then, but is it really freedom? No. The ignorance, the mode of ignorance working inside, underneath, and because of that, you are getting these desires, these kind of desires. Similarly, when we get vacation, we try to go various places. We wanted to go and see beautiful places, countryside, very beautiful, like beaches or any countryside areas, farms. We wanted to go and see, and we'll enjoy by seeing this beauty. That is due to the mode of goodness. So these are all desires, whatever your desires you are getting inside in your body, in your mind, it's all constantly working under your three modes of material nature. So this is not a freedom. It's all you are bound by the modes of material nature, and those modes of material nature triggering various desires inside. And because of that, sometimes you think, okay, I have to go and see some nice place, or sometimes I have to earn more money, or sometimes you think you wanted to sleep more. Sleeping more as ignorance, right? So all these various modes you will be working, and you will be exhibiting different natures depending on the mode which is acting. So it's the coming out of these material modes. The next thing is we need to see the coming out of these material modes. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, it's in the mention, Devi Yesha Gunamayi Mamamaya Duratyaya, right? So these three modes of material nature are divine energy of Krishna. But it is very difficult to overcome these three modes of material nature. So for that, what is this required? You need to take the shelter of Krishna. So we think so-called freedom. Freedom is not fulfilling the desires coming through modes of material nature. Freedom is you have to stop the desires. You are coming out of you have to reject those desires, and you come out of those desires. That is the real freedom. You have to come out of the tasks which you have to do to fulfill the desires. That if you reject, that is a real freedom. Taking the shelter of Krishna, coming out of these desires, that is a real freedom, and that is a real, actually, we should look for. And I was listening to one of the lectures from His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and he was explaining these modes of material nature, and in that he was mentioning, he was talking to one person, and he was addicted to smoking. And Maharaj was asking, that person was telling Maharaj, no, I am not addicted. Since I like this smoking, I wanted to enjoy smoking, that's why I am smoking continuously. Then Maharaj told, okay, since if you are not addicted, just for enjoying the smoking you wanted to, then can you stop smoking for 2 weeks? Because you are not addicted, you should be able to stop. So can you stop for 2 weeks and see? Then he tried, he couldn't stop. So then we think our mind will tell various reasons when we are doing many activities, but underlying, you are conditioned, you are bound with these modes, and you are not able to come out of these three modes of material nature. And we can see Kaliyal, this or Srimad Mahabharata story. Like after Kamsa was killed by Krishna in Madura, Krishna asked Akrura to go to Hastinapur and check the well-being of Pandavas. So he wanted to, Krishna is a Bhagavan, he knows everything, but he wanted to exchange a loving reciprocation with the devotees. So he asked Akrura to go and get the update of how the Pandavas are doing and provide an update back to me. That's what Krishna instructed Akrura. So Akrura went there to Hastinapur. So he met Kunti Maharani and Vidura first. And Kunti Maharani started telling. So these Kauravas were doing so many atrocities on Pandavas, and they are trying to feed poison and kill Bhima. They tried. And they are creating so many humiliated situations. And still Kunti Maharani is saying, I always constantly remember Krishna. When I'll always think about lotus feet of Krishna. When I remember all these things, I will be easily coming out of this distress. These miseries is not impacting me. So what she was saying, she's constantly thinking about Krishna. That's why in Kunti Maharani prayers, we see what she was mentioning, like to remember Krishna. If I get these misery difficulties again and again, she is happy. Because these miseries is helping her to remember Krishna every time. So that is the reason. So Kunti Maharani was always remembering Krishna. All these difficulties not impacting. So we can understand the normal sense, these difficulties, everything are creating so much disturbance in your life. But when you keep thinking about Krishna, you will be coming out of these modes of material nature. That's what when your desires are coming in you due to these various modes, you should always take the surrender to Krishna. Think about Krishna. That's why in Prabhupada in various places it tells, if the mind is agitating, sit one place and chant Hare Krishna. So that it will be, your agitation will calm down, right? So these are various things we need to do. We have to take the same thing. Kunti Maharani is constantly remembering Krishna, and she is able to come out of the the effect of the modes of nature, and she is not feeling distressed or unhappy. So the next thing is, after talking to Vidura and Kunti Maharani, Akrura went to Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra was a king at that time, and he was a nice diplomat. So he was giving update on all positive sides of his thing. So then Akrura asked this, he directly jumped into the business. So he started asking, okay, this throne is actually, it should belongs to Yudhishthira. The Yudhishthira, the father was a king. Since he died when Yudhishthira was younger at early age, so you are taking care of this throne. Now Yudhishthira got eligibility. Why don't you give this throne back to Yudhishthira? Then Akrura was telling, so you are entangled with the name, fame, everything. You are completely bound with all these things. You are not able to come out of these things. You know that doing these activities are sinful, these are all irreligious activities. These activities, whatever the Dhritarashtra and Kauravas were doing against Pandavas, these will cause sinful reaction. So Akrura was telling Dhritarashtra, these all things will happen. You know very well, the Pandavas are dear to Krishna. And Pandavas love Krishna, and Krishna loves his devotees more. All these things Akrura was telling to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra knows all these things. He is telling that. But when you don't obey the Krishna, if you obey the Krishna order, Krishna will protect you. When you go away from his orders, Krishna will punish you. All these things Akrura was telling, reminding, because Dhritarashtra know all this. But why you are still creating disturbances, difficulties to Pandavas? Then Dhritarashtra was telling the same thing. He started replying, I know Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. I know we should not go against Krishna. I know everything. But I got an association with this evil-minded Shakuni and Dhritarashtra. Duryodhan. So because of that, I am not able to come out of this. I know everything, whatever I am doing wrong, but I cannot come out of this effect. That is what his situation. We can understand this in a more simpler material understanding. Example, suppose you are traveling in a motorway. So when you are in the city, you can take a turn. You can quickly take a U-turn in the middle street and go back in a different direction. But when you are going in a motorway, there is no chance you can do U-turn whatever way you want, right? There is no signal. You have to go straight. Suppose you missed your exit, some reason, then you have to continue straight. You can't take U-turn immediately. You have to wait for next exit, then only you can. So when you miss the exit, you know your path is wrong, but you can't come back, right? You keep on going until you find next exit. Same thing Dhritarashtra. He knows that this path is wrong, but he is unable to come. That is how strong the material modes. But the difference between Kunti Maharani and Dhritarashtra is Kunti Maharani took the shelter of Krishna. And she is remembering the lotus feet of Krishna and she was able to come out. Whereas Dhritarashtra, he was took the association of evil-minded people, Shakuni and Duryodhana. And he is not able to come out of that. He knows that path is wrong, but he is unable to come out of this. This is how strongly the material modes impact us. So only thing is take the shelter of Krishna. So same thing. If you see the Kaliya Leela, there also we can understand. So when the serpent Kaliya was there in the Yamuna river, the entire complete water was poisonous. And a couple of gopas and cows took the water, took the water and they fell unconscious, they died. So the Krishna came and he tried to, what he did, he jumped onto the hood of the serpent Kaliya. He started doing dancing. And with the dancing, what happened? He was initially, Kaliya was started attacking, but when Krishna jumped onto the hood of the serpent and he started doing the dance, so what happened? So his feet is hitting the hood of the head of the Kaliya. Then with that effect of Krishna's feet, what happened? The Kaliya started vomiting poison, everything is coming out of the Kaliya serpent. What happened? So how we can understand this? What the Kaliya was by nature, it's a serpent, snake. So like a human being doesn't have like human being, it doesn't have any intelligence. So it's his nature to harm the people. So but when the Krishna was dancing on the hood, all the poisonous came, everything is vomited. So that cleared all the past sins, sinful reactions. Then what happened? Then the serpent became very humble. It surrendered to Krishna. So that, see, this is how the people will be transformed. When they are under the pure, full of all three modes of material nature acting, then when you take the shelter of Krishna, when you take the lotus feet of Krishna, it will transform. It will take out all your sins. It will wipe out all your sinful reactions. It will make you humble. It will make you to please Krishna. So this is how you can come out of these three modes of material nature. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita many places, like if you have to come out of this material motion, asat sanga tyag. So you have to renounce the material association with the material worldly people, and associate with the saintly people. So if you are associated with the material worldly people, with those who always talk material things, what will happen? You also start thinking about the same way. But when you associate with the saints, those who come for Mangalarti, those who do chanting 16 rounds, who do devotional service, what will happen? You will also get affected you will also start taking their inspiration and from them, and you will also start doing many such things. So the words like Devi Yesha Gunamayu Mamamaya Durataya. That is what the three modes of material nature, it is very difficult to overcome. But in the next two lines, Krishna provides the remedy also. Mameva prapajjante maya yatam tarantite. Those who surrender unto me, they can easily cross over these three modes of material nature. So that is why this is one remedy that Prabhupada in our scriptures giving us. So take the shelter of Krishna, you will be easily able to cross over this material. And Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Ananya chinta yanto mam yejana paryupasate tesam nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. The translation is, Krishna will protect what you have, provides what you lack. So if you are having these three modes of material nature constantly impacting you, because of that you are not able to get up morning, you are not able to finish your morning sadhana, you are not able to follow regulative principles, right? If you are suffering, but still you start doing devotional service, Krishna will preserve what you have, he provide what you lack. So you are not having these things. You are not able to do morning sadhana, not able to read scriptures, not able to follow all these regulative principles. Then Krishna will provide all those things, provided you have dedicated your mind, word, body, everything you surrendered to Krishna, you started doing devotional service, then he will preserve or he will provide all those things which you are lacking. So these various example scriptures, we can understand how these material modes are working and how we can cross over these material modes. So I will conclude here. Any comments? Any? Yes, Prabhu. See, as per my understanding from this verse, the Durga Devi is the in charge of this material world, but beyond that, I never got any reference, Prabhu. But we need. Adipurush Prabhu, you have any comment? The calamities, right? Any other comments? Any other? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, प्रेमानंदे गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. Thank you, Prabhu.